19th. We can go but live back on TikTok on the 19th. I don't miss it at all. Thursday? Yeah. TikTok feels too much like work. All right. And we are live on multiple platforms. You can't say I didn't make myself widely available. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Today, a little more than 7 months in, by the way, started on December 12th. Was the first day of the show, by the way. And we have met every day since to discuss news and politics, and we will, and we will. I have no plans. I don't think of this as work. Okay. I don't think it's something I need to get paid to do. I just think that you, I, we, you deserve someone. We, I, you deserve someone who will look at the news, talk about what is happening. Not, I try not to sugarcoat shit. I try to use like reputable sources so that you get, I don't take myself terribly serious. You see, I'm wearing like a hoodie and a fucking baseball cap. I'm trying to be like the approachable version of what is it largely inadequate. Let's just call it what the fuck it is. Mainstream media is largely not serving people like you and me. It serves corporate interest. So what I'll do for free every day for 90 minutes is go on Reddit, go on Reddit News, World News, Suppressed News, and then the flavor of the show, in case you're kind of wondering, like, okay, I could fuck with that. We're just gonna sit around and talk about news and politics. What else? I'm a socialist. In fact, I'm the founder of the American Socialist Party. And what do I mean? Because I know you don't know what I mean. You see, the American education system is dedicated to capitalism, and an example of that is how much money I had to spend on fucking books in college. Okay? What I mean, for example, socialism by definition, go look it up, is any egalitarian movement, and I know your brain is doing motherfucking somersaults, and you're like, wait, what is egalitarian? I know I'm stupid too. I had to look it up. Egalitarian just means pro equality. So whenever you see that word, egalitarian, instead of your brain doing fucking backflips, you can just be like, pro equality. It's a good thing. Any pro equality movement, whether it is a social theory, an economic theory, a political theory, and I just want to point this out, bars, your boy is not actually, I look at myself to keep myself centered in the image. It's not a vanity thing. Okay. I'm not actually reading. That's off the top of the fucking dome. Okay. Socialism is any pro equality movement, whether that is a social theory, an economic theory, or political theory, that has to have some components. In order for it to be socialist, it has to have some components. And I think as a boy, I'm sorry for using big words. I hate it here. This is my entire life. In this like little 10-minute little clip, that's my whole fucking life, is just saying like socialism is just, it has a lot of fucking complicated aspects to the definition that make it fucking hard to understand. And it starts up front because it's any egalitarian, and your brain is like dumbass, 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 dumbass. You don't know what a egalitarian is, do you? Right? And that's what my brain was doing. So I had to go look it up. And you're like, oh, so it's pro equality. That's when I see an egalitarian, oh, their foundation is based on the concept of equality. And I know there's a lot of people that have idiot comments. Stuff it. Okay. Um, I was thinking about like the backlash, like equality my ass. Like, hey, shut up, man. All right, so um, and when we talk about political movements, okay, socialist political movements, what are some social policy, right, that we know that we talk about all the time? Universal health care, universal education, universal income, universal housing. These are what are considered like the modern pillars of socialism. Thanks. One of the reasons that I stay away from pew pews is because you have 23 fucking bones in your wrist. There's a reason I don't talk to people about pistols. Is because you have a bunch of little fucking bones in your wrist, and if you're not like super fucking strong, you're gonna fuck your arm up shooting a pistol. Just full stop. And that anything you can brace your shoulder and fire, probably better. Probably not gonna fucking destroy. Like, if there's anything that I'm not looking forward to, read my lips. Read my lips. Read my lips. It's wrist pain. Wrist pain. I'm telling you, as someone who has been in some fucking pain before, I'm telling you, between the wrist and the elbow, the least, because you can't do nothing about it. You can do nothing the fuck about it. Once you fuck your wrist up, there's 23 bones in that bitch. Once you fuck your elbow up, hey, my dad fucked his elbow up. I'm telling you, that shit will be fucked up forever. That's one of the reasons I'm not real big on pistols. It's because most people don't have like strong wrists. So you're just gonna break your wrist and miss and die? That's how you die? Nope. I ain't doing that shit. That's stupid. You can eat a Mossberg though. You can miss with a Mossberg and hit, and you probably aren't gonna break your wrist. You get what I'm saying? And whatever it is probably running, if it runs. You get what I'm saying? There's a reason I made my video and it was like 10 minutes long, and in the very end, I was like, hey, and listen. Yeah, cease. Yeah. So I worked at Steak and Shake in high school, and I had to kind of wear a bunch of hats. So I was doing the drive-through, making the milkshakes, and serving like 4 tables. I get to the end of a shift, and I would just be like, my fucking wrists are singing. This sucks. It's the worst. It makes you know that like I have weak wrists, right? Um, My dad told me stop kissing girls. Stop kissing them girls. You wouldn't have weak wrists. And I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And then it connected many years later, and I was like, what a weirdo. That was supposed to be funny. It happens. Yeah, don't you think about this. Don't you think that your life would be so much better if you didn't have to pay for healthcare and its costs? You weren't in repayment on student loans or having to worry about student loans or student loans didn't completely drive your whole life. What if what I don't know. Sorry, I wasn't even looking really. Let me show you. Clapper is up to no good here, kids. So, all right, Chris, with the hostile words, the meanest shit I've ever heard. He said, I don't think the Pacers are going to win the championship. I think it's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. You listen here with your naysaying, okay? With your naysaying, okay? 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 It's 2-2, okay? I can feel the youth movement on this Indiana Pacers basketball team. They're deeper. They can outrun anybody. Anyway, we're here to talk about the news. So I want to make sure we say congratulations everybody that survived what I believe is being called at this point the third largest protest of all time in the United States. So if you went out, okay, Chris, listen. That's three messages in a row. But yeah, if you were out there protesting this son of a gun in my comment section talking bad about the Pacers. Ooh, makes me so mad. I'm just kidding. It's just a game. Not like on the team or anything. My happiness does not lie in the victory or defeat of the team that I root for. It's just to be completely honest with you, one of the things that I learned having worked downtown Indy, and I've lived in Indianapolis for 20 years, is that man, it's awful sad when the Colts and Pacers lose. And lots of businesses just have to close their doors and go home, and it's a sad fucking night. And maybe they got to kick some bills down the road. And I know that you don't have any empathy, but I'm talking about small business owners. So think about that while you're out here dragging other people through the mud. Um, but when the Pacers and Colts win, those establishments make a lot of money, and those are small businesses closest to Lucas Oil, and closest to the field house. So I know you feel probably the same way about your teams where you live. I root for them because when they win, those small businesses near the stadiums make some good money, and it supports a lot of people's livelihoods. And I don't care that they sell alcohol; it's legal, right? It's legal. So I don't give a shit that are mostly bars. It don't mean shit. You know what I'm saying? So sports provides a little bit of hope in a dark time. Um, I'm just glad we're in the finals, and it's important, most important for me to be a good steward of basketball than it is for my team to win a championship. I'm not a Pacers employee. I'm just a fan. Yeah. Well, they are. The Thunder are better, and the Pacers are even with them right now through four games. All right. So in the chat on YouTube, Cease also had pain in the wrist and elbow. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone hear how the G7 went for Donnie? No, I didn't see. I didn't see anything. Um, I one of the things that I saw that I really there's a couple of things that I have some opinions. You're on my podcast right now, Chris. Uh, we are mid-show. You were getting a feature. Clapper is our backup to TikTok. I was telling people, what if it's actually Chris Stapleton, like the musician? It would be so fucking weird. Like, how did you end up on Clapper in a fucking comment? Like, what? Threatened with tariffs again. What if he's like, I am Chris Stapleton? And what if it's actually Chris Stapleton? He's like, yeah, I've been a fan of the show for a while. Like, life is fucking weird, bro. So I want to share this kind of early in the show. Yeah. Um, Anonymous released a message. Yeah, I know. You're all like, Anonymous, Jared. Yeah, they released a message that they have information that the US is gonna fall for a false flag attack, and it's gonna drag us into this war with Israel and Iran. Um, I shared the link. You're more than welcome to um go view the source. I put it in the comments. And watch the anonymous video where they just lay it out there like these people have no infosec at all, and we've intercepted comms that this is going to happen. And so it's important to like get the word out pretty early on my show that keep this in mind, like for not being on TikTok right now and having like 20 people on two platforms is it's important. That's like a classroom of people. Like people think they need like an auditorium of people or like a stadium of people at a time, like listening to them. No, I just need one. If I was sitting here talking to myself, I'd be saying the same thing so that I could look back on this time period. Thought you were talking about they were going to release later this month. Uh, yeah, yeah, they made a video that said we have intercepted comms that, and we're going to release that information later. About a false flag operation. Yeah. So just so okay, and then obviously we want to make sure it gives some shine. Veterans against fascism. I gotta get involved. Veterans fighting fascism. I'm currently signing up. Task Force Butler, nonprofit organization of veterans and civilian volunteers. And how we heard about it is we heard about this 87-year-old veteran that got arrested crossing a fucking line. Um, so I signed up for veteransfightingfascism.org today. Look at me all joining orgs and shit. Um, Not really ever been like that. I'm probably also gonna join American Legion. Um, you can make great change from within. I'm a firm believer. I'm a force to be reckoned with. I'm just getting started. I've been very nice and calm and have moved very slow, with safety being and keeping my wife and I safe and happy and living in peace, as we go through this process. But I've told y'all that I sat here. I already did the thing. The most, it's fucking crazy. I have to stop myself every now and then and remind myself that I already did the most important thing that I'll ever do in my entire life. I already did it. It's over. We established the American Socialist Party, and now I just have to survive. So like we already did it. Once we get an ITN and a bank account and start fundraising and shit, and the attention starts to come, you'll just be surviving it. It's from stand on business, right? The reality is the powers that be do not want you to be in a position to protect yourself. They want you to succumb to the government, succumb to the law enforcement, and let them do whatever they want. Um, and I am at the point personally where I can't jive with that anymore. After person showed up at two lawmakers in Minnesota houses dressed as police and shot four people, killed two, and then was hiding in the bushes near his house and discovered by drone. Um, Look, man, ICE does not have real bullets in their guns. They're only getting paid like Walmart money, like 23,000 a year. They don't have a judicial warrant. They just have a administrative warrant that ICE writes themselves. And ICE is being funded by Palantir. And the powers that be, the Republicans, are heavily invested in the US prison system or in foreign prison systems. They're also invested heavily in Avilo Airlines, in Palantir, in the prison system in the United States. And again, as I've said, back and listen to Peter Thiel at Libertopia. He says, "My ideas are so unpopular that it'd never win an election." So they had to cheat. And I want to make sure we talk about it early and often. I want to see the results of Executive Order 13848 from the 2024 US elections. All of them. The truth is going to come out eventually. And remember, I was a data analytics student at Purdue when this election happened. And from, well, how I felt on the night of the election. Shout out to my 4 a.m. club. Wife and I were up at 4 a.m. again today. Hmm. Fortunately, I went right back to sleep. It's about 6:15, which is about when I usually wake up. But just know, in all this shit, I felt like something had been stolen from me. And like I said, the only other time I felt like that was at a poker game, at a crazy game of poker when I was in college that got robbed. And I literally got robbed. But yeah, we gotta talk about it, right? There's a reason that I made the piece I made this morning. Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, our nation's ICE officers have shown incredible strength, determination, and courage as they facilitate a very important mission, the largest mass deportation of illegal aliens in history. Every day, the brave men and women of ICE are subjected to violence, harassment, and even threats from radical Democrat politicians, but nothing will stop us from executing our mission and fulfilling our mandate to the American people. ICE officers are herewith ordered by notice of this truth to do all in their power to achieve the very important goal of delivering the single largest mass deportation program in history. Um, Skip the pistol. Go straight to the shotty. Take shots from cover. Aim head high. You don't even have to be that close. I would not let myself get arrested. They don't even have real bullets in their guns. Yeah, the thing about it is, attorneys have bias. So Angie, when you're watching, the data is unexplainable, and all they got to do is find out how the data was manipulated, and it's over. Remember that attorneys have bias, so I just be careful about like throwing away the validity of a lawsuit because um hey, there's Kat. I was gonna say Kat having also done the most important uh thing we'll ever do. She made the logo. She and I worked together. She made the logo as far as having already done the most important thing we'll ever do. Some of y'all posting about numbers. Less than 40 million and less than 6 million, and it's like um so the final attendance numbers for Donald Trump's parade will end up being under 10,000. And the numbers of the No Kings protest are already in excess of 12 million. So I just want to keep pointing out they're going in the opposite direction because it was 40,000 was at Donnie's yesterday. And I'm already seeing people doing the size comparison maps and they're like, "Hey, hey, hey, we're pushing 10K here. That's not that many people." And then when they look at the size of crowds, oh my God. Oh my God. New York City, fucking San Diego. Holy shit, San Diego. Fucking Los Angeles, you already knew. You already knew. But I made my piece this morning. Chicago, New York, LA. The ice is gonna make y'all summer miserable. Hey, it's important to have friends and to go places with friends. Did you see my mouth hole, what my mouth hole said? It's important to have friends. I'm a 41-year-old man, okay? Let me tell you about the last 4 days and what it's like being like a good person. I have talked to all four of the closest men that I have in my life. All four. Like all four of my closest friends in the last 4 days. I know, as lightning strikes my house and shit, right? Okay. So when you're not a complete piece of shit, you have friends who you not only can communicate with about anything. One of my very best friends in the world, his name's Brett Mock. He's married and his wife is about to get induced on the 18th for their third kid. Okay. I just realized we both work in finance. Anyway, we both work in finance, even though he's a lawyer by training. Okay. And then my other best friend, I just realized that too. Uh, AJ is a pre-law um, IU grad. And then another one of my closest friends is a business owner, and they with their partner, because they're trans and they're married to a woman, run a successful business. And then that business owner's probably best employee, their buyer, is my buddy Jimmy, who is also a Magic player and a Path of Exile player, and it's probably who I'm like closest to. I literally spend hours at a time talking to him on Discord, on microphone, not on chat. So I just want to detail what my social life is like for someone that's not a complete piece of shit. And I want to point out it is a little fucking weird that I noticed. And I can't forget my buddy Burkhead from when I was on active duty that it looks like we might be traveling around the country sharing a hotel and fucking he's trying to build a business and sell a movie and I'm trying to win this fucking event because it's like 10K. So shout out you bunch of badasses. Um but yeah, I was thinking about what Crystal said. And the reason I say that is because you never know when somebody's gonna get snatched up. That was the make sure you talk to the people you care about. Specifically, like if you're a man, you might want to start thinking about your relationship with other men specifically. Because you could have like a really nice relationship with a bunch of girls. No offense, ladies. There's not a lot of you that I would thrust into the line of fire. It's just not in my nature. I would much rather one of my male friends do that, right? It is that I see you as precious. Okay. So, man, you got to talk to the other men in your lives and find out who's going to come fucking look for you when they take you. Who will spare no expense. I can't be. I can't be breaking up. I'm just yelling into my phone. You know what I mean? And know that it's going to be embarrassingly hot this summer, that you're better off hanging out with your friends in an air conditioned environment, keeping the fucking peace, go to different people's houses, travel, make yourself a hard fucking target. Because one of the things that I focus on as someone who has a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics, where we speak truth to power, where we're not afraid to say, Look, the problem in the United States right now, if it looks awfully pro-Russia and pro-Israel, it's because the Republican Party, every elected Republican, and many of them downstream, took money from Russia. So if the government that's in power appears awfully pro-Russian, including the Russian flags on their parade poster, I noticed it. I don't know if anybody else noticed the Russian flags on Donald Trump's parade poster. If I don't know if you caught the White House displaying the Russian flag on a display on a poster. Okay. So what I've told people to do, if you're interested in participating in this rebellion, in this resistance, is stop using Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, and Amazon. And hey, you know what's really unique about the people that I communicate with? They don't use any of those sites. If you're still using these sites and you think that you and I are going to communicate, you're wrong. You shouldn't be on these sites. Okay? No Facebook, no Threads, no IG, no WhatsApp, no Messenger, no Twitter, no Amazon. Why? Because they're tracking you. If especially if you don't look like me, oh my God. If you have a name that is just a little odd, hey, get the fuck off of Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, Amazon. And the most important thing is stop announcing your plans in text. Stop saying, I'm going to the No Kings protest on June 14th, 2025. Okay, everybody, I'm leaving my house to go to the Okay, everybody, I have arrived at this protest. Okay, we're walking counterclockwise. I'm wearing this color clothing. Do you see what people are doing? Is that people are using the social media sites that are tracking you and announcing your movement. So you're making it easy for people to find you and track you by announcing, by being on these sites. You might as well get off of them forever. Some cars miss the flag. What flag? No, I missed the flag. What are you talking about? Wow, no, I missed the flag. Remember how summer's hotter as a kid back in the 70s, seen it rain more too. Oh, I missed that, Jared. Do you have a pic of it? Can you find a pic of it, Jared? What are we talking about? Oh, the Russian flag. Um, Probably in suppressed news. White House parade announcement shows Russian flag. Ting. It's trying to redirect you off the copy. Here. There you go, right there. Cease. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a reason the thing about it is I don't sit here and say this shit for myself as a reminder to myself to stay off of fucking Facebook and Threads and IG and WhatsApp and Messenger and Twitter and Amazon. You don't need them fucking things. I just told you. I'm a 41-year-old white cis male in Indianapolis, Indiana. I have talked to the four most important men of my life, four or five most important men of my life on a regular basis, especially in like the last 4 days, without any of those websites. Okay, here you go. If you can't see the Russian flag in that, I'm sorry. And the only reason I went to Twitter is because that was where the Yahoo link went to. Otherwise, yeah. Well, the reason the Democrats are being quiet is because 100 elected Democrats in the United States take money from AI PAC, including Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And Benjamin Netanyahu is committing a full-blown fucking genocide in Gaza. And I have this overwhelming feeling that they're keeping their mouths shut, either because they've got a bag of tricks, or they also see themselves as a target. And they're gonna go um, live in Iran or live in Gaza once Israel clears it out. So the way I think about it is this: in this world, in the United States, in American politics, you have two fucking choices. In my eyes, you only have one, but your choices are to acknowledge that Israel is an unfortunate ally of ours. Did you hear what I said? An unfortunate ally. For strategic purposes, it is important to have a strong ally in the Middle East. Look at the fucking Middle East. Need I say more? However, comma, you fuck up just this much, that relationship changes a lot. A lot. Like, you've been committing a fucking genocide since 1948 when it was created. By the way, Israel is not real. Israel was created in 1948 by Ben Gurion, David Ben Gurion, who is the head of the Jewish Agency, created Israel to mimic the imperialist and expansionist acts of the United States in the Middle East. It was made to mimic the growth of the United States just in the Middle East. It was like US 2, okay? So just so everyone understands, Israel is not as old as God. And by the way, if you're a person that believes that you're one of the chosen people, really can't be out in the sun for longer than 15 minutes without the next 4 days being life threatening? Michael Rappaport. Yeah, my senior year of high school was 9/11. 9/11 happened when I was a senior. Columbine happened when I was a freshman. Ain't that fucking crazy, by the way? If you went to high school 98 to '02, and what makes it even worse is my church youth group, the summer that Columbine happened, my church youth group went to fucking Littleton. We were supposed to be there for like 4 or 5 days. We ended up leaving there and going somewhere else. We spent about 2 days and we went to I think we went to a baseball game. And then we went somewhere the fuck else where there hadn't just been a fucking mash. It was fucking super traumatic. Like the girls playing softball, I'm pretty sure the girls were still crying during their softball game. I would be crying too if a random bus of strangers showed up and started cheering like a bunch of fucking maniacs, and I'm like an emotional teen, you know what I mean? Mm, 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 mm. So, yeah, I think that's the news story of the day. Okay. The final numbers from the parade, less than 10,000. And way more than 12 million people protested. It's like the third largest protest in the United States history. The only bigger protests were the fucking George Floyd protests. And I can't remember what the other one was. And some protests in the 90s. Oh, wait, the LA riots. Yeah, Zeke. Yeah, Zeke. Remember, dude, how many times have I got on here and said, yo, a social media firm? She said, I'm the old lady here. Hey, now, ain't nobody asked you your age. You know, black don't crack. Dang, why you couldn't give me that 45 mil instead? Right? By the way, oh, remember all those National Guardsmen that were sent to LA? Remember all those National Guardsmen sent to LA? The 300 that showed? Yeah, they apparently only got orders for 29 days. You don't get pay if it's orders for less than 30 days. You don't get special pay. Ain't that crazy? So not only were they not being fed, housed, supplied, they're also not getting special pay. Hmm. Yup. And they're filing ethics complaints. And, oh, and by the way, in terms of marching, let me just talk about marching. Okay. So your boy was on active duty in the Marine Corps Infantry in 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines Weapons Company, the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history. So let me just tell you, burp, unless you are at boot camp, a drill instructor, or at 8th and I, which is Annapolis, Maryland, part of the Silent Drill Platoon. There might be in Virginia, and I'm an idiot. Okay, not Annapolis. They're in Virginia. Okay, so unless you're in boot camp, you're a drill instructor, or you're at 8th and I. As far as I'm aware, you have a job in the fucking military that is not marching. Okay, so in terms of those, I believe they were soldiers marching. Okay, most of those people have a job that isn't marching. if the powers, the people that were in charge of those people, wanted to show a great deal of respect, they would have had someone yell in cadence, they would have marched in step, they would have done something in front of the president. They would have admonished him at position of attention. They didn't do none of that shit. They were walking aimlessly. It's harder once you learn how to march. It's actually harder to just like mill. So what those people were doing is milling. They were just milling around. They were just walking through. There was absolutely nobody was in step. They had no guide. They weren't covered and aligned. They were not trying to show respect to Donald Trump and this administration. Knitting Cult Lady said it perfectly. The United States military does not work for the president. That's not how it works. Yeah. Yeah, I was a senior in high school, had just rounded the corner. The TV was up in the right corner and was like sitting down at my desk at like 7:28 and I think the first plane had already hit and then I watched the second plane hit in real time. Um, and then faulty intelligence got George Bush to get us in the into war in Iraq. And I want to make sure that we talk about this because I've never really had this conversation before. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that we EBSCO research. Okay. So I just want to make sure. Here's a really good link where you can see who did the research and that Saddam Hussein used mustard gas, uh, it basically illegal weapons of war on his own people. So I know that there are a lot of people out there that are like weapons of mass destruction. Okay. In my eyes, as someone who answered the fucking bell, uh, Saddam Hussein using chemical weapons on his own people is enough to send U.S. troops in and to eliminate Saddam Hussein. Yes. Yes, 1,000% yes. Because you know who would use weapons, chemical weapons against their own people? Donald Trump. Okay. There's a lot of people out there that are like, we should have never done that. And, oh, we got sold. George Bush is a fucking idiot. And it's like, no, he's an idiot. He's a fucking idiot. Yep. George Bush is a fucking idiot. He fell for some shit. Yes. However, comma, he also, in my eyes, Saddam Hussein, one of the One of the most evil people. So hope that helps. Also, Donald Trump would totally use chemical weapons against his own people. So I'm an advocate for sending the Marines in. Get it over with. You can tell the people that showed up to march in front of Donald Trump were not prepared. Knitting Coat Lady talks about how General Mateus came to her OCS graduation and ordered a march, and they worked for 2 months to march for him, for General Petraeus. What did I say, Petraeus? It's Petraeus. Okay. She also talks about how one of the people in her comments sections was in the military, and they practiced for 18 months to march for somebody. So, for the record, no, that's not what the military looks like. That's what the military looks like when you try to use them as pawns. Force them to march for you. Force them to paint their tanks fucking green. That shit. Those people did not want to fucking be there. Nope. Hey, and you know the good thing is about the unit I was in is they had already learned the most important lesson. Morale is everything. Your fucking attitude towards some shit it's the whole fucking ball game. The outcome uncontrollable. Can't control the outcome. But my attitude about it, my ability and willingness to prepare for it, unquestionable. Unquestionable. So when you see the military marching and they look like shit, that is a sign of disrespect for the person they're marching in front of. Uh-huh. I'm sorry, the video of the tank going down the street. Yeah, it's made to, by the way, the person that was happiest watching that was Vladimir Putin. He got the president of the United States to spray paint his tanks green. Our tanks ain't even fucking green. They've been sand colored since the fuck if I know. Desert Storm? We don't. Why the fuck would you paint a tank green? Okay. Or there was a lack of order. Their leadership was not out to the side. Oh, your left, right, left. Nobody was doing that. So the people that were happy to watch this were Vladimir Putin. And they know that, keep in mind, one of the things I'm going to make sure we point out. Yeah, it's totally quiet other than the squeaking of the tire. It's meant to portray the US military as weak. Because one of the things you've got to realize that nobody's saying, it's just the truth. The US has proxy wars going on all over the world. And so if we don't have our people directly involved in it, we're paying for it. Okay? So one of the things that you don't get to do if you're an American when you see Israel and Iran fighting is you don't get to say that ain't us. Oh, that's us, baby. Hey, Israel was created to be US 2 in the Middle East. The whole purpose of Israel is to mimic the expansionist, right? And the settler and the colonial aspects of American. hmm That's exactly what they're meant to do. But my favorite video from the last couple days is the Lebanese stud playing the fucking saxophone, and it sounds so good as the fucking missiles fall in Israel. And it's like, this is how everyone in that lives in that area, this is how they look at it. Like, this is what you get. Okay. Israel is a rogue nation state. They are an unfortunate ally of the United States by design. Remember what they do, what the IDF does in Palestine and gets away with, they bring here. Hmm. Yep. Who do you think Marines train with? Who do you think the U.S. Marines train with? The IDF. Who do you think comes in and trains, by the way? Here's the Hague, by the way. Here's the Hague. Marco yawning. Yeah. Yeah, and it was so hot and muggy that 30 people had to be hospitalized at that small man's protest. Or I'm sorry, parade. At that little man's parade. Less than 10,000 people showed up. 30 people had to be hospitalized from the heat and humidity. Hmm. That was one of the reasons I bugged out after a lap or two at the protest here in Indy. Hey man, hey man, I'm not the kind of person to be delousing in public, okay? So when I'm tempted to like take off pieces of clothing, it's too hot. What are we doing? I'm not trying to get a heat injury, okay? I did my thing. I showed you that I am too long-winded to be a sign maker. Rumors are July 4th is the next one. But yeah, the suspect was captured, by the way. Vance Bolter identified himself as a police officer when he came to the front door of State Senator John Hoffman early Saturday morning before shooting him and his wife. Going to affect relations between um, police and their communities across the country. Came to the door wearing a badge. Here's what I can tell you based on my relationship with the police as a person and as a citizen. My entire family is fucking law enforcement. FBI, CIA, DEA, police, retired police. Um, if you just communicate with your PD and they'll call you and say, "Hey, we need to stop by and talk." Or you can call them. Like when I talk to my dispatch, they like know where I am and who I am. It's that easy. The police don't just show up at people's houses unannounced. That tells you that that man, Vance Bolter, is not a law enforcement veteran. The police don't just fucking show up. Think about if you're a cop. Think about you're like everybody else. Okay? You're just trying to get through a shift without fuck shit happening. Okay? Dead ass. You're just trying to work your shit and go home to your family like everybody else. You're not just rolling up to somebody's house unannounced. So I just want to make sure that I sit here and say, like, look, I'm in a difficult position. Every fiber of my being is like, fuck 12, fuck the police. I love Rage Against the Machine. I think the police need to do a lot of what they do without a pistol and stop kneeling on motherfuckers' necks. I don't think they need a fucking firearm. 99 remember that I said this before I get brutally fucking murdered for my opinions. 99% of traffic stops do not require a firearm. There, I broke the whole fucking police game for you. They have absolutely no reason to carry a gun. They're not needed. If it is only required 1% of the time, would it not be better if they just carried around a fire extinguisher? It's a ranged weapon. It would surely stop someone. The super dangerous, remember, one of the things that I learned from my wife who studied serial killers, she's probably a serial killer. Just letting y'all know. If I ever die, you might want to pay attention. My old lady might go bananas. Um, I am crazy. I know you're talking about Vance Bolter. But yeah, let's make sure we have some simple procedures that we know. Okay. First of all, remember that deportation is not sexy. It's a letter you get in the mail and a court date that you have to attend, and you have to bring paperwork. And if you have all of the required paperwork, you're good. And if you don't, you get like another month to get your shit together to leave. It's a process. It's due process. And every person in the United States, regardless as to whether or not you're a citizen, is due process. Yes, I said do and did not laugh. Okay? So make no fucking mistake about that. You're due process. No matter if you've got papers or not. So when you see them picking motherfuckers up off the street and putting a bag over their head and handcuffs on them, stuffing them in a van, hey, that's not even legal. That's not how deportation works. So when you see people trying to, first of all, dance around this shit, yeah, Vance had a mask on and shit. Um, but he shot those people through the door. You can see multiple bullet holes in the door. hmm So what I'm gonna do is get new entry points. hmm and invest in a camera system. hmm I'm gonna protect myself. hmm You should get to know your neighbors. You gotta know who you can talk to and who you think would call ice on you. Yeah, we're just at that stage, you know? Yeah, thanks, Cease. You're actually due process and it's actually DUE because you're due something. And due process is DUE process. So it's due process, due process. And it's not doo-doo the kind that your dogs do. Mm-mm. Or that doo-doo they won't do, they voodoo. You know what I'm talking about? I just want to point out the pick-me's that are blowing an air horn at a protest in my eyes. Are you ready for this? This is the most, I think this might be the most craziest take that I have. Somebody drove through a protest in Virginia. Somebody shot someone at a protest in Utah. Here is a link to someone blowing an air horn at a protest. Hey, in my eyes, if you are antagonizing protesters, you're the same person driving through them, shooting them. You're the same person. You're all beyond help. They're extremists. Remember that I said this, and we're going to continue to say it. The social media firm did an audit of Donald Trump and Elon Musk before they were elected and found out that 90% of their followers are fake. They have such low support for Donald Trump. No, 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 no. No, no, no. We are all due process. Doo doo. Yeah, I wouldn't get a ring. And Bob, one of the things that I do know, uh, I sold ADT home security systems for like 5 years. My brother and I did the largest ADT project in Indiana history. We uh, we lit up we did lights and cameras in a mine in southern Indiana that was like 6 miles in diameter, and they were down at the second level. It was fucking insane. So right when I came home for the Marine Corps, I do the worst, hardest work of my entire life. Run. We did all the electric lines, all the lighting, all the rigging, and all the cameras for this mine in southern Indiana. Yeah, so I learned all about security. You don't want anything that you can't just look at on your phone. Remember, there's no need to have a secure subscription for a security service because it's not going to be any good in court. Has the same value as if you just took the footage yourself and had your own recording software. hmm Yep. Yep. Hopefully the only thing that camera ever catches. Are you ready for this? Hopefully that the only thing that camera ever catches is the convoy of people that walk to my home to shake my hand and to hug me because they know that man had founded the American Socialist Party bent on delivering universal health care, education, income, and housing to the American people to show the world that we are the greatest country in the world because the best ideas win. That Democrats and Republicans do not have your back. They all have the same billionaire corporate masters. And for the record, I am anti-authority because I have mostly encountered piss poor leadership my entire life. Save for when I was on active duty. I had outstanding leadership. Every fucking Marine that was ever in charge of me, look what you fucking built, bitch. You built this. I'm yours. You have to claim me. So thanks, Bob, for reminding everybody don't get ring. You don't need ADT. Nope. Hopefully, all those cameras ever catch are people waking up. I have no corporate interest. I cannot be bought. Anybody that is gonna stand up and say, you know what, I'll be the first political candidate. How will you support me? Because we gotta teach you the cadence. We gotta teach you the we gotta teach you the stone jaw. We teach you the principles that you're never gonna ever back down from and can never be talked off of or away from. Federally legalize marijuana, cannabis, make it into a cash crop, make it the United States' primary chief export. Chief. And then take all that profit and do not give it to fucking billionaires. Invest in universal education, income, healthcare, and housing. It's a lot better than giving all that money to fucking Elon Musk so that he can spy on us because they can't stand that we don't like them. I just want to make sure the reason that people are suffering is because the people in charge are not well liked. I just want to point that out. Part of the reason they're so fucking cruel is because they don't have any friends. Uh, Crush getting hit on in the chat on Clapper. Hey, you know, match made in heaven. I thought you were talking to me, Sam. Like, thanks, buddy. But yeah, but also when to back to what we were talking about earlier about socialism. When you talk about socialism and you say the pillars, modern pillars of socialism are universal healthcare, education, income, and housing. It's a pro-equality movement. But understand there are flavors of socialism, and there's many flavors. Yeah. So that's the thing about being a socialist is that it kind of depends what you've read. I read it all, and somebody asked me if I could do what? Can you link that poster? Trump parade poster has Russian elements. Here's a Yahoo post. Goes to a Twitter post from the Department of Defense. So again, I didn't get this off Twitter. Here, I want to make sure we say this. I didn't get this off Twitter because I was doom scrolling Twitter. Twitter's not installed on my phone, and I don't post on Twitter anymore. I don't post on Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, none of that shit. The only time you'll ever catch me saying anything, opining about anything, okay, is on Blue Sky. I want to make sure I say hey. Dumpy was crying, asking he's not as popular as Fox News tells him. No, hell no, he's not. Hell no, he's not. Lowest, lowest approval rating ever of any president ever. Ever. They had to manufacture. They had to manufacture the polls. He's losing by 15 points. They had to make those up because it's actually fucking worse. Because he becomes cruel when he's unhappy. There's a reason why him and Melania and their relationship, whatever the fuck that is, where she won't even hold his fucking hand. She hates him. She can't wait for him to fucking die. That's part of the reason that he's so fucking cruel, is because she was sent from Russia with love and she turned one of America's wealthiest men despite his fucking failure over again and over again and over again. Despite his failure, Krasnov. The poster, I sent the link to it, Patty. So posted the two links to it. So the Yahoo post and the Department of Defense poster. That's what you were looking for, right? The one with Russian elements on it. By the way, there is a Galapagos tortoise at the zoo in Miami that just celebrated its 135th birthday. So here, remember, Donald Trump knows the judicial system, right? Yeah, his first Father's Day. Yep. Goliath. One egg out of a clutch of eight laid January 27th, successfully hatched on June 4th. He had never sired a turtle. Jesus fucking Christ. You want to talk about fear? You want to talk about fear? You want to talk about fear? Check that shit out. In West Virginia, a West Virginia flash flood kills at least five. Others missing after inches of rain fell in 30 minutes. 2.5 to 4 inches of rain fell in a half an hour. Northern West Virginia. You want to talk about nightmare shit? Have I ever told you this story? And then I got to get out of here. Yeah, we're about that time. So let me tell you this story. So the reason that fucking triggered me like a motherfucker. So again, I worked armed and unarmed security in Indianapolis for more than a decade. There's a reason that you never heard of a big ass show in Indianapolis having any fuck shit happen at it, and it's because I was there and because I don't do fuck shit. Nope. I will choke slam someone. I'm not for that. You don't want to see these hands. That's how I worked, and it was fucking great. Never had a fucking problem in a fucking decade. Never ever had a problem. Okay. One night, you become friends with regulars. The people that go to a bunch of shows and they're just vibing out and they're good people and they never have a problem. They're dapping them way on the way in and dapping them up on the way out. I'm telling you, on God. You come to one of my shows, you're gonna have a good fucking time, but you ain't dancing on my fucking speakers and you're not fist fighting. And the first person that throws a fist eats one. And I come as fast as I can, jumping off the fucking stage, and I'm connecting every time. Mhm. But I'm also gonna pick you up like the bag of potatoes that you're gonna become and drag you out too. Mhm. Yep. So we never had a problem. No. In fact, when they see me, they'd be like, "Oh, it's that big motherfucker, though." Now we just gonna have a good time. Yep. So at one of the shows, it was one of my regulars' birthday. And so he was gonna, it was a thing that you did when it was your birthday. You stay at the bar all night, they drink all night, they pop a keg or whatever you like to drink, and they play pool and darts, and it's a chill little bar. It's a bar. It's called the Mousetrap, right? It's my favorite place to go for fucking years. Okay. And it was his turn. And it's a rite of passage. If you don't get invited, you're not considered like a regular at that bar. If you've never slept under the pool table, who are you? And so he was like, "Will you take my girl home? Like, will you give her a ride home?" And sure, I'll give her a ride home. And he was like, "Yeah, will you give her a ride home and then come back and drink and shit?" And I did. But what happened was, and this is one of those stories where you're like, "Oh my God, it really happened." Yeah, it really happened to me. So she gets in the car. She starts giving me a hand job. I'm kidding. We back out of the spot, put it in first gear, and I had a stick shift. So the reason that we're using not my stick shift, the actual stick shift of the car. So we turn left out of the mousetrap, like we're going to the stoplight at 56 and Keystone, which is Broad Ripple. Okay, it's like this is where the cool kids hang out. Okay, it's like Butler, Tarkington. Okay, so as I go to turn right, I'm dead ass. We are sitting at the light, and it's a beautiful night. You can see the stars in the sky on my mama. Okay, as I'm mid fucking turn, all hell breaks loose. You're just like, what the fuck is happening? It rained harder than I've ever seen it rain in my entire god. I'm talking buckets, sir and ma'am. And I'm telling you, I got 50 feet, 50 feet. The water was up to my fucking door. It, the last 20 feet, my car wasn't on the ground anymore in seconds. So here I am with my buddy's girlfriend in the passenger seat, and I'm just like, oh my God. And she's like, you know what's the craziest about this shit? And I was like, what's the craziest about this shit? How fucking calm you are. And I was like, I can't do anything about it. And she's like, every other man I've ever met in my life would be screaming in an uncontrollable rage. And I was just like, I don't really think this is the time. Like, it's clearly not my fault. I don't really see anyone to blame. Being angry, acting all out of sorts seems like a waste of energy. You probably need to call your man. And of course, what ended up happening was her man came up in his lifted fucking big ass pickup truck and pulled his girl and myself out of my car. And then we called a tow truck to come tow all the cars that got caught in this fucking flash flood. Okay. So what triggered me, and for the record, it gets worse. Oh, it gets worse. So I thought that I gave the tow truck my address, and I lived like 10 minutes away in an apartment. He just taken my car to my apartment, and he didn't do that. He took it up the street and parked it in a mall parking lot, and my car got broken into and towed because I got picked up because the car got caught in a flash flood. There's nothing I could fucking do. We just went back to the bar, which is what you're supposed to do. For the record, whenever that you survive, you go back to the bar. You sleep under the fucking pool table. You pretend that your fucking car didn't just get my car my daddy bought me while I was on active duty that I put a bunch of money into. Mhm. I used to have I had cars that people touched. Like when you'd walk up to my car and you'd be like, "Your car is so fucking clean and not and like a nice vehicle. I just want to touch it." I had my first car was a 1988 Mustang GT 50 with a navy blue with metal flake paint job. Like people would walk up to my car, people would get out of their car at a stoplight and walk up to my, is that fucking metal flake? Yeah. Oh my God, that's fucking beautiful paint. Like I know, I literally stole it from some old lady. And then I had a pearl white with metal flake, S10 that it was incredible. That was a fucking beautiful car. When I watched that fucking thing, you look at it, you'd be like, oh my God, I can't even look at your car. It's so bright. I got sideswiped by a semi that ran a red light, destroyed that shit. Not my fault, by the way. I had a black with metal flake Honda Civic, like a brand new, probably '04 Honda Civic with black Motegi rims, black leather seats, black trim. That was a hot car. Literally, it was black. It was all black. It was fucking hot. Um, and then when I was on active duty, uh, my daddy came down because I think my parents didn't believe that I was actually like their son that went to Purdue to study flight and be a fucking astronaut is on active duty in the Marine Corps infantry. Like, are you fucking sure? So he came down before I went on that boat, and he was like, "Yeah, I just wanted to. This is the last. Yeah, this is the last time I've actually sat down with my dad and done anything. We went to Ruby Tuesdays, so he could get the fucking salad bar because he's a queen, and then he went and bought me a car. He bought me a Scion TC. Yeah, that's the last day I spent with my father. So can't say he did nothing. And for the record, he paid for the car while I was on active duty. It wasn't until I was no longer on active duty that he was like, "You should pay the car payment. You're no longer, on active duty." And for the record, being calm is something I learned from when I was had a bunch of chemicals going through my body when I was a little kid, and I would try to brain myself and failed, and then disconnected from that. 30 minutes later, my mentor calls me, and she has a great deal of fear that something has happened. And she just tells me, I want you to know that it's not about you. That your impact on this planet will be felt long after you're gone, dude. And that was when I was like 15, 16 years old. So I became a very calm person because I all of a sudden realized I'm not the main character here. I'm but these other people that are self-important, you feel like they need to win popularity contests. Let them have the fucking microphone. They'll be repeating what I say eventually. Hmm. Yep. And so, like I said, you notice one of the things that never happens on this show is I never bitch about money or need money or ask for money, and I'm gonna work as hard as I can to keep it that way, no matter what. No matter if bunch of listeners, syndication, doesn't matter. Most widely distributed, doesn't matter. Don't care. That's what I hang my hat on. Because I know I'm doing the right thing. I would have questions about my motivations if I was seeking to profit. And I have a natural level of distrust for people that would trade money for morals or money for ethics, money for principle. Just make sure you keep your eye on that no matter what happens. I always say, like, it isn't me, it ain't about me. And that's all I've always assumed. I write checks I can't cash, right? At the moment, just like everybody else. So I mean, I've been telling my wife for years when I'm gone, you know what I'm saying? Start out with war. What is it good for? If you serve, know someone that served, you know they know that song. Which is fucking hilarious. You make sure you listen to War, everybody. Whoa. Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. You know what they say, walk softly, carry big stick type shit. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Stay safe. Make sure you let people that know that live in LA, New York, and Chicago that Donald Trump is turning up the heat with ICE